It's April 21st, yeah.
So today's April 21st. My name's Liv, and I'm an 8th grader student at Bicultural Hebrew Academy of Connecticut. I'll be interviewing my grandfather, whose name is Kamal Haron, and it's about his year and his life and his legacy. This interview is going to be recorded for the oral history collection for the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield Country Archives, as well as our family archives. Over the next 15 minutes or so, I'll ask you questions that will help me learn more about you and our family history, especially the Jewish history. If you can't answer a question, just say no. We can move on to the next one. Also, it would be fun, and if you would rather not answer a question for any reason, just tell me that. If this is fun, and you feel more comfortable, we could do it at all times. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Let's start with telling me your full name.
My name is Kamal Haron.
Okay. And who are you named after?
I'm named after Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, whose name is really means the perfect Turkish person. And the reason I'm named after him, because when I was born, he was in power in Turkey. And in the Arab world, he was considered an innovator. He actually turned Turkey from Islamic, completely Arab, to a westernized country. And my parents thought that it's a proper name they would call me after a person. It has nothing to do with Judaism, but we don't live only in a world only of Jews. We believe in a world that is very diverse, and therefore my parents, since they lived in an Arab country, they didn't want to have the names of the children only Jewish. They wanted them more secular or accepted in the Muslim world. And Kamal was an accepted name in the Muslim world, so they also wouldn't know when I walk in the street if I'm Jewish or not. That's why.
And then, do you have a Hebrew name?
I don't have a Hebrew name.
Okay.
In our tradition with them, we didn't have two names. We all had only one name.
So you don't have a middle name?
I don't have a middle name.
Okay. So in my class, I've been learning about immigration of like the Jewish people and like the U.S. and other places. Do you know where your parents or your family immigrated from?
Where immigrated from? Well, they lived in the Middle East, and the Jewish people have been living in the Middle East since 500 BC. That's when Nebuchadnezzar moved all the Jewish people, or most of the Jewish people, from Israel to a place called Babylonia. At the time they called Babylonia, today they call it Iraq. It's the land between the two rivers in Mesopotamia.
We learned about Mesopotamia. And then, so the next question is, okay, before they immigrated to the United States, like to Israel or other countries, did they talk about what it was like how their life was before they left?
Before we left Iraq, the Jews lived in Iraq for 2,500 years, almost without any problems, almost. And some of them were taken to Iran to live in Iran by the Emperor Cyrus the Great. They called him Cyrus the Great because he was a great emperor. Anyway, so Cyrus the Great, the Persian emperor, liberated Mesopotamia, and they transferred some of the Jews, not all of them, but a great percentage of them, to Iran, and some of them he sent to Israel to rebuild the Bet HaMikdash. So we both probably moved, my family 2,500 years ago, probably they moved to Iran also. And we went back and forth from Iran to Iraq all the time. It became like one country. There are lots of Persians who live in Iraq, and lots of Iraqis live in Iran, especially the south of Iran and the northwest of Iraq. They're mixed.
So where did
Persians
you first live?
My first name is what?
No, where did you first live? Like, where did you first live?
Where did I first live? I was born in Iraq.
Okay.
But my family went back and forth, Iran and Iraq. So some of my brothers were born in Iran and some were born in Iraq.
Okay. Do you have stories about your Jewish life there?
Jewish life in Iraq, I have very little because I left Iraq at the age of 5 and went to Iran.
Can you tell me more about how you left?
Yes, in 1948 actually, when the Jewish state came into being, Israel became a country. The Arab people were much against it, and therefore they started making the Jewish people's life in Iraq a little difficult, actually very difficult, and we had to run away out of Iraq when I was about 5 years old or 6 years old, in 1949 or 1950. I don't remember the date. However, we had to walk across the border and leave our houses and everything behind and go to Iran with nothing. Because the Iranian people accepted the Jews very well, and we didn't have any problems with the Iranian people. So we left in the middle of the night, got into a car that took us up to the river. I don't know which river it was, but I know it was a river. As a young kid, I was 5 years old. And after being on the river, we went into a small boat. It was a rowboat. And some of the family were there, half the family.
Which siblings were there?
The one, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 siblings, we were together. The other 3 siblings had gone, or 4 siblings actually, had gone to Iran before.
So you have how many siblings in all?
Pardon?
You have how many siblings in all?
We are 8 siblings in all. So we went on the boat, and when we got into the boat and started rowing in the middle of the river, they started shooting at us. And because the Persians and the Iraqis realized that we were being smuggled to Iran and wanted to hold us up, the people in the boat, the smugglers, told us to lie down in the boat so we don't get hurt. And we did, and they started rolling very fast, and finally we got to the other side of the river, and that was Iran. And then we got out of the boat and we walked for another 5 hours until we came to a point where we were supposed to meet some cars to take us to the city. And when we got there, there was a tree. We stopped near the tree. Then an hour or 2 later, the cars came, and we took the cars and went into the city. And that's how we moved from Iraq to Iran in 1949 and 1950.
Okay.
Yes.
Next is, did your parents or anyone in your family experience or were they affected by the Holocaust or programs?
We did not have a Holocaust in the Middle East, as you know. In Iraq, we didn't have a problem with the Holocaust, but we were aware of the problems that they were happening in Europe, and of course we were very worried. I wasn't at an age to realize that, but I know from my stories from my parents, my brothers and sisters, that they were worried about the Germans coming to Iraq. Of course, there was also bad influence of the Germans in Iraq, and before 1944, they started giving us a hard time because of the Germans and the German help.
Okay. And then, can you tell me anything about our family immigration to the United States, Israel, or elsewise? Who came over and when? Like, when did you come to Israel?
I went from Iraq to Iran. I lived in Iran for 15 years, and at the age of 20, I went to Israel, sorry. I went to Israel, I went to university, then I served in the army, and I lived in Israel till the age of 39, that is 19 years. After that, I came to the United States with my whole family. The whole family included myself, my wife Nancy, and my 3 children, Dan, Yoav, and Ronen.
Okay. And, okay, I'll start. That's good background. And now I'd like to take out the item that you brought. Did you bring like do you have an artifact to talk about? Or anything that, like a picture or anything to show of your family or anything like that?
Yeah, we lost most of our pictures, and actually anything that we had in Iraq, we couldn't take with us because we went by foot. We ran away from Iraq. So we didn't have much that we took. There were some pictures that we had sent to friends and family from Iraq to Iran, and some of those pictures did stay with us, and we do have them. And I have some pictures from those days from Iraq, but very, very little.
What about the photo of your family from the stories?
That's it. Family, historic, my historic family. All I had was one picture of my grandmother, and I had another picture of another grandmother who lived in Iran. One of my grandmothers lived in Iran, so I had a picture of her. And I did get to know her when I was 5 years old. She passed away a year after we got to Iran. And the other one, I didn't get to know because she passed away when I was 2 or 3 years old in Iraq. So my grandfather, one of them passed away when my father was 12 years old. So I didn't know him. And the other grandfather passed away a little after my grandmother passed away when I was 6 years old. So I remember him, but very little. I don't have any pictures of him.
Okay.
Okay, our life was not as stable like life is now in the United States or most places in the world. So since we were moving from one place to another all the time, we never carried anything that was not very important. The things that were important that we carried with us were the candlesticks that we lit the Shabbat candles for, and the Shabbat cup that we did the blessing of the wine on. These 2 or 3 things we used to carry around with us, and they were the same because we needed them every week to bless the Shabbat. So the rest of the things we didn't bother with.
now I'm gonna ask about how your life was growing up. And okay, so where did you grow up, and who lived with you growing up?
Wait. Sorry.
So where did you grow up, and what was it like? Who lived with you growing up?
Did I grow up?
Well, you grew up in Iraq, we know that. And who was there with you? Like, what siblings?
When we left Iraq, we came to Iran at the age, it was 1950 approximately. And from 1950 to 1951, the whole family, all my siblings, my 7 brothers and sisters, my father and mother, we all lived in one house. And that's when I really got to know my brothers and sisters, because in Iran, I hadn't been, in Iran we got all together, lived together. But that lasted only about 1 year. And then my brothers, 2 of my brothers went to Israel to start a business and to start a preparation for all of us to go from Iran to Israel. But after a while they came back because business was very bad and they couldn't do very much. So my father decided that they should come back to Iran and they would stay in Iran. After that, the whole family for a few years we stayed together, but very rarely, because we are 8 children, and at certain times 1 or 2 of the children was always abroad or somewhere, but not in Iran.
Okay, and what was life like? And tell me something about your school life. Did you go to school, and what was it like?
I went to, there was a small Iraqi school when I got to Iran that was set up by a person by the name of Chaim Eved Elohim. His name was Chaim Eved Elohim. And he had started a school and started a synagogue, and he also had a wedding hall he set up for the Jewish community. He was a very rich person, and he did it for the Jewish community. That's where we went to school. In the school, they taught us Hebrew a little bit and English. They didn't teach Persian or Arabic, but they taught Persian. English.
English
and we learned English, and mainly English and very little Hebrew. We had a Hebrew teacher, but he hardly taught anything. However, till the age of till the 9th grade, I went to this school, and after that, I went out to work for a year. After working for a year, at the age of 13, I decided I wanted to go back to school, and I went back to an American school.
Okay. What were your childhood friends like?
My child events?
No, your childhood friends.
What?
Your childhood friends.
Friends? They were all refugees who left Iraq. All my childhood friends were refugees who left Iraq and came to Iran and went to the same school. And these same refugees that came to the same school, we were all in the same situation. None of us had a substantial amount of money, so we all lived more or less the same level. We could walk to each other's home because most of us lived in Tehran, in a specific area that was mostly Iraqi Jews. And so we knew each other. We all walked to school every day, so we got to know each other very, very well. and we used to play together in the afternoons. So anyway, these same friends, believe it or not, now it's 75 years later, we are still friends and we still meet once in a while.
Like two friends or like all of your friends?
About 17, 18 friends we have. Today, some of them have passed away, so we have less today, but we still meet 5, 10, 15 friends together once in a while.
That's good.
And they live in different countries. Some of them live in Canada, some live in England, some live in Israel, some live in America. So these are the ones that I know.
And then, what was most meaningful to you? Oh, did you have a bar mitzvah or did you have a bar mitzvah?
No, I did not have bar mitzvah. And most of my friends who had left Iraq did not have bar mitzvah because it happened right after we left Iraq. They still were not settled in Iran, and
it wasn't.
There weren't any rabbis actually that taught children to prepare them for the bar mitzvah.
So it wasn't very popular.
It wasn't very what?
Popular to like have a bar mitzvah. Like it wasn't very common.
It wasn't very popular?
Common.
Calming?
Common. It wasn't very common.
Common. Oh. No, it wasn't. Bar mitzvah wasn't a common thing when I got to the age of bar mitzvah. And I don't think actually most of my friends didn't have bar mitzvah either.
Okay. So now I'd like to talk about our family or our Jewish traditions. My favorite one is, my favorite Jewish tradition is probably Hanukkah. And then, did anyone in your family serve in the military?
In the Israeli military? Yes, I did, and one of my brothers, two of my brothers did too. So 3 of us served in the military. And another 2, they just did because when they went to Israel, they were older, so another 2 just did Miluim. They did the reserves, but not the full 3 years.
Okay. How did you meet Safta?
I went to University of Jerusalem, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and we met the first year we were there. And we just met. We were friends, but we didn't go out together or didn't intend to get married or anything else. But that's how I met her. And after 2 years, we were both still in university. We met again and we decided we want to stay together, and we became friends, more than just friends, and then we got married.
Okay. And then, what's a piece of advice, this is like the last question, what's a piece of advice you have for the future generation like me?
Well, it's very hard to say one piece of advice. I have lots of pieces of advice, and it's very hard to pinpoint one that's the most important. But most important thing is to know that you have a history of 3,500 years old, and you have to support that history, and you are the only person or the only race in the world that has been for the last 3,500 years has the same religion. They came from the same background and they have the same culture and keeps the same culture. So it is very important to have that, because our stability in our life, what having that 3,500 years before us makes us a very stable ethnic community. And being a stable ethnic community, it helps us raise our children and raise the next generation in a stable home with stable values and with stable history, so we can depend on our history to tell us what is right and wrong, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel like a lot of other people that every time they're born, it's like they have to start from the beginning. The difference between animals and humans is that humans learn from their history and don't make the same mistakes again. And we have been learning from our history for the last 3,500 years, and for the last 2,500 or 1,000 years, we have been preserving our values, preserving our history, preserving our knowledge, and therefore today we can rely on that history to know how to go forward and to analyze our everyday life. And we have to remember that our history is very, very important. We have done a lot of things in our history, and all these things that we have done were very important in having us today, all of us, all of the Jewish people, you and I and everybody else, knowing that we have a strong, strong background.
Okay. Thank you, Sama.
You're welcome.
Pause video.